It's a newer book for me. I love the illustrations. It's called Be a Friend by Selena Yoon. And I love this cover. Has this dotted flower. And this is a mime. So for some of my friends who don't know what a mime is, it's an artist who doesn't speak. They act out motions without talking. When you take off the cover of the book, it just has this heart pinned. So I really like, it's the heart that's pinned on his shirt. And then on the inside, you can see him miming all sorts of neat things. Like pulling a rope, riding a bike, on a seesaw, acting out being a tree, walking downstairs. There's a butterfly at the bottom, in a box, in a spotlight. I always think of that as leading a circus or something. Wonder what lesson this book is going to teach us. Dennis was an ordinary boy. That word ordinary, it kind of means normal. Nothing kind of stands out. So he was an ordinary boy who expressed himself in extraordinary ways. So now when he opens his closet, you can see it's okay. Come back. Okay. Little picture there of Marcel Marceau. I bet some of my friends are too young for Marcel Marceau. He was a famous French mime when I was younger. But you can see, Dennis has all of these shirts. It's okay, Peanut. We're going to switch spots. I feel like that's going to make him happy. Everyone called him Mime Boy. Okay, you can come back up, Peanut. Dennis didn't speak a word. He would only act in scenes. This kind of mirrors what we saw in that inside cover, where he's walking down steps, he's on a bike, he's in a box, and he's tugging at a rope. All right, Sweet Peanut? Some children would show and tell in class. Dennis would mime instead. So he'd make an egg, caterpillar, butterfly, a chrysalis. So he would act out the life cycle of a butterfly. Some children liked to climb a tree. Dennis was happy to be a tree. But even trees get lonely sometimes. Dennis felt invisible. It was as if he were standing on the other side of a wall. Invisible. We read that book, Invisible Boy, last week, and now he feels separated from everyone else. Until one day, Dennis kicked an imaginary ball. And someone caught it. Her name was Joy. There was no wall between Dennis and Joy. It was more like a mirror. They saw the world the same way. Dennis and Joy didn't speak a word because friends don't have to. Strictly No Elephants, there are things that friends do for one another. So let's look back at Joy in other pages of the book, because I bet you didn't notice her. Everybody else has a speech bubble, but Joy doesn't. Everyone else is climbing a tree, but Joy isn't. Everyone else is playing, but look at Joy. She's doing her own thing. Even here. So even though they didn't need to say a word, because that's what friends do, but they did laugh out loud with jazz hands. For all the world to see. See, they're all now playing jump rope without a rope. They're miming it. When I read this book for the first time, it jumped out at me because I have some very special friends who don't necessarily communicate by talking or talking a lot. Sometimes they talk through their writing, or they talk through sign language, or they talk through a facial expression. And I also have some friends who don't hear as well, and so they speak sometimes through sign language, their writing, expression. You don't need to talk all the time to be a good friend. You can find some of those commonalities even without words. It's one of my favorites.